In the last episode, we planted canola in our 3 largest fields to help feed our future oil mill. But that oil mill won't buy itself. So this time, we're going to be generating a massive amount of money to help grow our hard mode Farming Simulator 25 empire. On the old barley field, we've been using a grass cover crop to get 2 applications of fertilizer. What that also does is yield a nice bumper crop of grass bales we can wrap for silage. We've already got 2 long silage logs on the side of the field, and one of them is already done fermenting and ready for sale. We've just been monitoring the prices at the markets. What we'll do though is add a 3rd small log into the mix for a little extra grass-based revenue. These 8 bales are probably worth about $7,000. Alright, that was a quick little chore. We can stow the wrapper back away in the shed and check our fields. We're at 90% on the newest, biggest field, and on the other one, we're at 87%. Both are a little lower than I anticipated, and they're different, which is sort of odd. Maybe? I've heard that the lime and maybe the plowing condition yield bonuses both drop with each harvest, decreasing it each time by some percent, until it reaches the bottom of its yield bonus, at which time the actual flag comes up on the info screen and the field view indicating it needs lime or plowing. That would make sense here, and would explain why we're not where I'd expect with at least a 97% bonus, especially with the bees. We'll keep an eye on it and do some more testing as we harvest the fields and move into September. The productions need some tending to before we do anything, and it starts with the goats getting down near their last 100 liters of water. Let's fetch our trusty and still rented watering tank and get down to the river. On the way though, check out our lodgepole pines. They look to have reached their full maturity, so some lumberjacking is definitely on the docket today. Let's finish up the watering in this early September morning with a beautiful, light, low fog, and see what's next. The price on goat milk is definitely at a peak. It's exceeding the high forecast for January, so it's time to sell. This is a perfect opportunity to put the new flatbed to work and get all the goat milk loaded and sold in one go. We have quite a few pallets going to the market, so I have high hopes for the goat milk revenue. Okay, looks like we've got it, and this is a little over 15,000 liters of milk. That's a lot of bowls of cereal, and next year, it should be even a little bit better. Let's get these over to the in-town dairy and see what it brings in. Almost 47,000 in goat milk. That's what being a goat farmer can do for you. The goats are a big revenue generator for the farm. Very cheap to keep. The goats have been very good. For our next task, I think it's time to cut a few of our trees, and I'll show you a little trick with the trailer I hinted at in the last episode. Now, with the double bars at the back, it had every look like those two bars should separate and extend the trailer some. It doesn't. At least not like that. But it does extend in a similar tricky manner like the widening and narrowing of the tines of the pallet fork. What you do is press F1 to get your menu, unfold the trailer by pressing X in the menu. Now, what it looks like, all it does is retract and extend the little lateral bar at the back where the trailer lights are. But what it also does is make available the advanced controls at the top of the menu. Pressing and holding the right mouse button allows you to move your mouse forwards and back to extend and contract to the rear of the trailer. And as you can see, it doesn't do it by separating the double bars. Both bars move forwards and backwards together. It's not what I'd expect. There's another trailer function to sway the trailer left and right on the hitch by holding the left mouse button and moving it left and right. I'm not too sure how useful that is, but I can see it helping align the trailer in some way or maneuver it in a particularly tight spot. We'll start our logging by cutting down the 2 trees left behind from a much older prior planting, so we're not even into the new trees yet. Let's get these 2 loaded and grab at least 1 more from the newly matured ones. Okay, that's 3 trees, and with the newly extended trailer, I'm still playing around with what feels like an optimal size. Once we get that dialed in, we may try to get a 4th tree on there. We'll just have to see. We'll roll into the carpentry and see how much these trees sell for from the newly extended trailer. It might be the same, but it could be a little bit more from selling longer logs. Over 19,000. That's good wood. And I do believe that's a little more than what we got before, which was more around 18 to 18,500. Under 19 for sure. Let's get another load and see what that's worth. Okay, with the new, longer length, we were able to get 4 trees loaded. The last few pieces were a little tricky to get stable, but not too bad. And we settled into a nice, uniform 8.5 meters for each log. Let's sell the load and see where we stand. 25,800, that's just shy of 6,500 per tree. A fantastic payoff. And if we can continue to get 4 trees in every load, that'll do wonders for the bank account. Next, in terms of revenue generation, is the silage. We've waited since July for a hopeful spike in the price, and it did rise, $1 higher per 1,000 liters. So it's time. These need to get sold to make room for the next month when a whole new batch of grass will be baled up and ready to wrap. A couple quick trips with the auto stacker, and we can watch the money roll in. About 22,000 from the first load. Let's get the rest. I've done a little bit of a misclick here and put the trailer into a ready to unload position, and it doesn't seem to want to get back into place. So we'll just get hung up on every object between here and the animal dealer and try to complete the sale. It's a hard mode challenge, so we're used to adversity. All right, almost 14,000, that's a total of 36,000 in silage. Right on par with previous silage sales. And that puts the account up to an impressive 178,000. We'll stow the auto stacker away and get on to the next job, which is a different kind of tree work. The John Deere can probably be put to work solo on this task, which is to fill the sawmills with natural wood. Both sawmills are nearly empty, so we'll probably be able to put quite a bit in each one. We'll start with the sawmill in the lower field and work in the secret property, taking down some of the small downy serviceberries. You've heard me say they just get in the way and cause the bigger ones to get hung up on their branches. So we'll clear out anything smaller first and work our way up to the bigger wood. It was a bit of a wrangle with the bigger pieces because I couldn't cut it up more with it on someone else's property. But we got it done, and the new lower sawmill is basically full. We'll do the same thing at the original sawmill and get the trees we need all the way up at the edge of the new field. We still need to clear out more of these to make sure we have a good space to build the oil mill. We'll have some other things we'd like to put up here as well, including a nice big shed and workshop combo. The original shed and small yard area has worked great, but it's definitely starting to get overrun, and we'll be buying more equipment, so another shed is about due. First things first though, and that is to get this massive shagbark hickory wrangled in pieces down to the sawmill. Okay, most of that was a half drag, half carry situation, but we got him in there. And you can see the sawmill is completely full at 13,999. It only holds 14,000. Somehow, I can't help but think that some of that last piece went to waste. And it's highly unlikely we finished out right on the cusp of capacity like that. I've kind of seen that happen before, but it won't take the wood if it's way over the capacity, so it probably wasn't more than a few hundred liters, I'll guess. But still, we need every chip. We'll get the smaller branch down to the sawmill and just leave it on the side for later. That's 178,000 in the account, both sawmills filled, the goats watered, 2 full loads of trees sold at the carpentry, a flatbed trailer of goat milk sold at the dairy, a long log of silage sold at the animal dealer, and another roll of silage almost ready to sell. In the next episode, we're getting very close now to the new oil mill. See you in the next one.